All right. Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Hernandez. Joining me tonight. This is a good one, but only if you get the reference. Does he look like he has AIDS? Great, because he just got the lead in Philadelphia the Musical. It's Robert Wyatt.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to do the best Forrest Gump that I can get, but it's not coming out. I'm sorry. I'll try harder next time.
And if you don't get the Philadelphia reference, look it up, and then you'll see the synopsis. Then you'll be like, "That's great." That's great. I didn't get the Denzel. I didn't get the Denzel Washington role because you know. And obviously
Diversity.
now, if they did it nowadays, they wouldn't give anyone else the AIDS.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, well, no one.
I for one love how Netflix is going doing all these historical movies like the Christopher Columbus, except for Christopher Columbus is now black. I figured that out. Queen of England's black. I don't understand it, but
I think
it's a new world.
I think taking inspiration from Ice Cube's War of the Worlds, I think we should shoot the movie Philadelphia. But you'll be Tom Hanks, and then I'll be Denzel Washington. We'll use a filter on the screen. I'll wear a hat. Anyways, and then go to YouTube. You get the joke.
Touching that one.
But and then we'll just do it as if it'll be the whole story of Philadelphia, but instead it'll be done completely through a Zoom call where the lawyer goes and calls people, and then they remote fire Tom Hanks' character, and then we'll just do it through continuous Zoom calls, and it'll be great, and we'll see if we can cash a check, and we'll try to keep the plot holes to a minimum. Anyways, Patreon if you want to hear our thoughts about movies.
All I know is I think because Ice Cube was in that movie Three Kings, it was right.
Oh
after
yeah, George Clooney, Ice Cube, Mark Wahlberg. They go find gold.
Great.
Yeah, that's a good movie. I
love that show.
Yeah.
Everything else, I don't really care. But admittedly, I'm not a movie guy. I don't know a lot about movies.
Yeah. What other gems was he in? He was in Triple X when they got rid of Vin Diesel. They got Ice Cube. Whoever Ice Cube's agent is,
Boys
that's
in the Hood or something like that.
Yeah, he had some original decent ones, but somebody like Ice Cube might have the best agent of all time because I've seen some of the checks that guy's hammered. He's gotten $15 million, $20 million for movies here, and I don't know besides Boys in the Hood and Three Kings if there's anyone who's on purpose purchased an Ice Cube DVD. I'm not even sure how many times I've walked by a Walmart and seen an Ice Cube. Sorry, no, I was gonna say movie, film, piece of cinema. I've not seen one on the shelf for me to readily purchase. So I see Kevin Hart stuff.
That's all I got, man. If Three Kings, he was in it. But admittedly, most of my film knowledge kind of ends about 2005, and if it wasn't created before then, I got nothing.
Well, that was the funny thing. Quentin Tarantino stirred up everything when he came out with his 25 best movies that weren't made by him. And he would squeeze in there on a couple of them. I'm not a big Tarantino fan, but one of the ones he put at the top was that people were kind of first thing he took a big old poop all over Paul Dano. That was his one thing.
Right. Yeah, I heard about that.
And then the internet came to Paul Dano's defense, and now he's gonna ride some. I don't know. He'll probably get cast in Die Hard the remake. He's gonna do John McClane.
He's gonna do his Netflix Zoom call Ice Cube style.
Yeah, that's what he'll do. So they did that, and they put Black Hawk Down as the #1 movie of the past 25 years, and me being a big Black Hawk Down kind of movie fan, I'm even kind of I don't know. That it's a good one. I'm not sure if it's the best one ever.
They should totally remake that. And instead of doing it on scene, they could just do it in Minneapolis now. Because it'd be true to life. It'd be totally legit.
Black Hawk Down, Southside Chicago.
Minneapolis.
Well, I think they're just going to Minneapolis. Yeah, Minneapolis with the high Somali population. They're just going to call it New Mogadishu. All right, hold on a second. I just felt an electric current run through my body. Prediction: this podcast is gonna be around for another 10 years. It's been around for 12. It'll be around for another 10. In the year 2034, the south side of Minneapolis will now be called New Mogadishu. So let it be written. So let it be done.
Yeah, just chisel this in stone. It will happen. Well, it'll happen as long as they have that retard of a governor, because apparently that's a thing now. And all I'm saying is I am so glad the R word is back. I mean, I never stopped using it, but I'm really glad that it's
I
back for
am
like.
like I didn't think like the whole like anti woke thing would come back in such a deal, but like when the president calls a governor, like Tim Walz has said some pretty like inflammatory things over the year, and he
Mhm.
listened and was like when I. When he's like, it's like anyone you ever bully when they like let you know that the bullying's so good that like it's like
Uh-huh.
really funny. He's like, when people are driving by my house and yelling the R word, like, yeah, when they're yelling the R word at my house, that's hatred, and that hatred will lead to violence. But I just love it. I'm not
I
saying
just
I'm
love that
not.
the internet. I love that the internet, when as soon as he says something like that, like the internet just we all like it's always like, us versus them and we hate each other and we hate this side. But when something like this happens, it's like the world and the internet comes together and we all rejoice and we find a common cause. And now people are doing drive-bys on his house yelling retard.
Yeah, it
And
it
I'm so proud. I
it
am proud of America
it's
again.
it's like when people come together. It's like when poll on 4chan when Shia LaBeouf put up the "He will not divide us" flag, and then they
Yeah.
they kept trolling it, and then he put it out in the middle of Kansas or something like that, and they figured out from the contrails of the airplanes and the stars kind of where it was, and somebody was driving around honking the horn so that the internet could hear it on the webcam, and when they hear it, you're like, you're getting closer, and then they brought the flag down and then ran something up. It's like sometimes, America, the greatest generation, is still around. That spirit's still around and alive in us. We're
Hmm.
just doing it from the keyboards and trying to cash checks like Ice Cube. Anyways, welcome to the number one fun gun show on the internet, and we'll crack right into that. I sat there. I've been working crazy. So I come home. I'm still awake, and I don't really want to go to bed because just kind of a burn to Saturday once you go to bed. So I have we moved into a new house and like we're getting mostly packed in, and you can see Vickers guides kind of up there. Hold on a
Oh
second.
yeah,
Hold on a
baby.
second. There they are. There's some Vickers
I
guides and
see him.
some shooting manuals, some Hugh Nibley books. Anyways,
You should hang on to those because when he goes to prison, they'll probably go up in value,
oh my gosh, if I could get a prison signature. Like like
right?
getting the prison signature, people have that, but getting the actual prison signature,
Yeah, if
that's
if he could
something.
Jean Valjean that
Oh my
24601,
gosh.
get his prison number on there. Oh baby, that would be
I could just
best kiss.
send him literally 100 pack of cup of noodles, and he'd sign something for me because that's like, or smokes. Buy him a carton of smokes.
Hmm.
I could be a co-author of the next book.
Yeah,
So
baby.
so anyway, I'm going through the guns and whatnot like that, and I'm like kind of like seeing like what I want to do or what I want to approach the next season with the reloader press going to be back and all that stuff. And so I was just like, oh man, I kind of I don't know if me and Ben Barry are feeling the same spirit of like I kind of want to go shoot iron sights. I kind of want to go shoot production. So I got all my stuff and I have all my Beretta parts and everything like that. And I'm going through the closet and I'm like, pull out this old like Stars like Brigadier gun and I'm like, oh
Oh wow,
yeah, I'm just gonna get this thing polished up and do some more trigger work to it. And
that is the goofiest rear sight, brother. Oh my gosh, the way it just hangs over like that.
yeah, well, it's so LPA adjustable sight. So um,
Totally right.
an ingenious thing because remember they had to make the sight low enough to give it clearance to adjust, clear the
Yeah.
hammer, but to actually work with the Beretta front sight because the standard 92F front sights are not removable, right? So you had this wonderful platform, which was basically, and not just like, what were those guys who were shooting like the President's Cup, who were shooting like service pistols, and you have to shoot
Hmm.
a 1911, a Beretta, or like now an M17 before it shoots you. And
Before it shoots you.
so
That's how you win. Is if your gun doesn't go off in the holster, you win.
well, they have that one. It's kind of like what's that game they play in Harry Potter? Quidditch,
Oh,
Quid,
Quidditch. We have to
Quidditch.
catch the snitch. Q U I
Yeah,
D D
and
I T
so
C
like
H. Something like that.
now like in those army marksmanship games, the catching the snitch. What is it called? The
I'm
snitch.
so glad you don't know, like, Harry Potter pop culture. It's the snitch. SNITCH. The
Okay, the
snitch.
snitch. Well, I don't know if this is gang culture, like if you catch the snitch before he testifies, then
It's
you win the game.
it's as gang culture as British can go. I mean, that's as good as they're gonna get.
So the ultimate win and like is you lay down supine, so chest facing the clouds. You have your CP3 in the holster. You can't your foot this way, so it doesn't get hit, and then you hit the holster, and then if it fires and hits the target, you caught the snitch. You won. You won. You
And
can get it through points, or you can do it through that. But anyways, so just
what happens if you do this if you do the same thing and it gives you a perfect double on a swinger at 25 yards? Do they call that Michelle?
no, that's just called that's staccato performance. Now you don't know. That's just
Oh,
staccato
it's staccato
performance.
performance.
That's staccato performance. Your gun can't do
So
that.
so is Staccato going to start sponsoring ammo that doesn't make power factor? Asking for a friend.
They do manufacture their own ammo, and all they need is that special USPSA green card, that federal. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, and I don't care. Like hand to God, I don't care. I don't care what happens to me or my USPSA life membership, which is not L5728 or something. I haven't shot in a long time. Anyways, now that we've been down the federal Syntech road for a few years, and we've had like we know how wonderful and what a great listen. And federal, if you want to sponsor this program, send us ammo. This is not sarcasm. How wonderful ammunition like Federal Champion is, but the fact that that horseshit stuff, Red Bullet, Federal Syntac, which was the I'm not sure, like coated bullets. Coated bullets can be great. A lot of coated bullets are absolutely fantastic, and especially if you load them and know what you're doing. They're not something that is like down the mass manufacturer's road that they're going to get them. But Federal Syntech consistently did not make power factor. Was dirty as hell, and the accuracy was not fantastic on the stuff. And that stuff, what ammo got USPSA's golden seal? Listen, if you shoot
All
this
I'm
stuff,
saying,
if you shoot this stuff and it doesn't meet power factor, that's
doesn't
okay
matter.
because it's USPSA branded, and that's just like there is. I would say the whole entire like board of directors that sums up that
Well,
era of USPSA pretty well.
well, it's the thing is what you have to understand, and this is it goes through a very rigorous process. What happens is Federal sends in a box of ammo and then a bunch of these
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
and they make sure that they go into the correct pockets. I
yeah.
mean magazines, and then as long as the magazines have the appropriate amount of 100 grain bullets, then they'll pass.
They're called strip club gift cards, Robert. That's what they're called. Some people refer to them as
I mean,
cash. Some people refer to them as American currency. They're just strip club gift cards.
any port in a storm. I mean, we are such a small business or a small sport that you got to get whatever you can on the back end.
Ethics come later. Money's
Oh,
for
ethics,
today.
pish posh.
Ethics
The
come
that,
later.
that that's why we have a rule book and DNROI, man. Those are the guys that uphold all the ethics, and they don't and they follow the rule book like just straight as an arrow,
Yeah.
and they never come up with like shady stuff saying that, oh hey, this wing can suddenly, it's not a gas pedal, it's a part of your production gun. It's totally legit. But a short barrel rifle, nah, we can't have that.
We can't
A
have that.
short barrel rifle is not a short barrel rifle. Because why? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's USPSA, and that's just what we are. That's how we roll. What
That's how.
happens on Monday doesn't happen on Tuesday.
Anyway, I did trigger job. Another fine little trigger job on this Beretta. That's that talk. Anyways, Robert, let's get into what you did, and then let's talk to the news of the world. The news of the week here.
Nudes of the world. So we were talking about Black Hawk Down. So I've watched that movie like a gazillion times, and everybody's seen the most iconic scene where Durant is in the helicopter, and who is it?
Shigard and Gordon.
Shugard and Gordon come in, and Gary Gordon gets killed. And I had never once until like this week. I'm sitting there and I'm working, and I've got it playing in the background, and I look up over, and Durant goes and fires that MP5, and he's got Gordon's rifle in his lap
Yeah.
before Shugard had given it to him, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what the crap?
That's
Yeah.
that's hard. Some things are better left unsaid, as Daryl Hall and John Oates said. Some
Well,
things
see,
are
but
better.
that's the problem. Then I went backwards, and like, who is it? Gordon. He's sitting there and he's firing the gun, and the gun had gone to slide lock, but it's still like making gun sounds and flash coming out of it. And I'm like, you buttholes. I don't like
Yeah,
you now.
I think they probably would have done the, yeah, and that's, I think well, how it is the worst thing that ever happened, to movies and like things making sense in sequential order is CGI. Because instead of the gun malfunctioning or not doing it or the crash not working or whatever, they just said, we'll fix it in post. And then,
Right.
so you have your firearm experts, you have your choreographers, you have like your car guy or whatever there, your stunt drivers and all that stuff. And when they fix it in post, the subject matter experts are no longer there. And yeah, so they're gone. So some guy who's sitting there like, oh man, like I saw this YouTube video, I'll see what this does. But so it's like the option to fix it in post got rid of a lot of that stuff. But like seeing those little things that like blow you off, like in Heat and the shootout scene, what's his name? Gosh, Michael Chirito, played by Tom.
Oh yeah, Tom. Rick.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he was in
Tom Sizemore.
Tom Sizemore, played by Tom Sizemore. His Galil is missing the stock to have it underneath his coat. Like the stock's been taken off the Galil, and then later on somebody's reinstalled the stock. It's just stuff like that. It's hard to miss.
And you know what? I mean, and generally speaking, like, look, I love Black Hawk Down. I still think it's one of the better war movies of all time. I'm never gonna not stop liking it. But it was just that moment that I was just like, well, son of a gun. And I was just I messaged like Tommy and some other friends, and I'm like, I was today years old when I finally noticed that, and it's just like it totally blew my mind. And then they had who's it? Sean Ryan show had Mike Durant on there talking about that. So I'll go listen to that this week sometime. But geez,
Yeah.
I was hurt. But
Still considered by Quentin Tarantino the best film made in the past 25 years.
Yeah. What is the best Quentin Tarantino movie though?
Let's see. I haven't watched Pulp Fiction in a long time. The last two that I've watched a lot was Inglourious Bastards and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's pretty good. It's a pretty.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is still probably my most favorite Tarantino. I still think that's probably one of the best movies he's ever done.
It's a fun movie,
and it's mostly because I like watching who's it, Brad Pitt's character whoop Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
yeah. That bit was just beyond hilarious.
Yep. Anyways,
well, so we had our indoor match this week at the Armory, and that was a lot of fun. It's so strange. So we had our normal people come out, but I kind of made this a private match because I was just like, I just don't want to deal. And this sounds bad, and I know it sounds bad, and I'm gonna apologize up front and just tell you sorry, not sorry. But I made it private because I didn't want to let the new people in.
Oh, I thought you were gonna start saying something about skin color. Okay, keep going. The AI is not gonna catch it.
New people is code for other words.
such as unsafe and not very helpful.
Those people, but And so I made it private, and I started sending links to everybody. I'm like, here, go sign up, and it was cool, right? Because we had everybody that was there. They knew what they were doing, and the match went fantastic. Zach is a fantastic stage designer. Came up with just some awesome stages. We had a ton of fun. Just absolutely fun night. We got out. It started at 6:30 ish, and we got out of there. We were like done out the door at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I was telling someone, I was like, man, how cool is like a Thursday night match when you get done that fast? And it's like, yeah, when you don't have new people to deal with, you get through really quick. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know, but the match has a reputation, so we still got to have the new shooter eventually. But it was pretty cool.
Give it
Saturday,
give it one more year and it just becomes a private club match that people pay $35 to do, and then they show up in robes like it's an Eyes Wide Shut movie party. That's what
right?
it is.
Well, that's what. So we have this CCW match that we're doing here, and that thing went live, and it's I think we have maybe I think we have maybe 8 slots left. But it filled itself up pretty quick. I suspect it'll probably be all full by the time this thing drops. But it yeah, that's gonna be a fun match. Everybody's like a lot of people are shooting micros, basically 3.99, less than 4 inch guns,
Yep.
shields, things like that. That seems like the huge majority of the people signing up. A couple iron sight shooters and some opens and stuff like that. But the micro guns really are the ones gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be a blast
Yeah.
because I mean that's just fun to shoot your concealed carry gear.
Yeah, the cool thing to do on what I mean, we haven't done this in maybe 7 years, six. No, we did. I think the last time we did was 2023, but I don't think it really counts because of red dots. Is low light to no light iron sight like pistol shooting, and like a lot of guys
Oh
are gonna
yeah,
have dots in that, but like people don't know the joy of shooting matches at nights without an illuminated sight. Like even with night sights, it was not
hmm
particularly great, and so
that was the biggest thing that I learned when we would shoot the matches at the farm was that night sights like the Trijicon night sights they are completely worthless. I mean
the
because
the
if you have a light on the gun, it silhouettes the sights,
mhm.
and so the night sight portion goes away. And if it's too dark so that you can actually properly light up those little vials or whatever that's in those things, then you shouldn't be shooting at the thing anyway. It was the
on
craziest thing.
the only time it actually makes sense is when there's ambient light of what you're shooting at. Like if
Yeah,
what you're shooting at is illuminated and you're not projecting any light from behind you, the night sights will be an advantage, and they go from, and then when you have a light on you, they go from being an advantage to just being a blocky pair of crappy sights. But
right.
they, some use cases they're fine, but on those night matches, of course, you have your own flashlight or you have your own weapon mounted light, and the weapon mounted lights, even back in the days, the 70 or 90 lumen lights would silhouette your sights just fine.
Yeah, and it's weird because I mean that match really did teach me like the where those night sights actually come into play as valuable. It's a very limited time window. It's so tiny compared to, and that's what ultimately what convinced me at the time just to stay with fibers on things, because the fibers their useful window is much longer
Yep.
than the Trijicon sites. And I'm not bagging on them. It's just it's a very interesting observation that I learned through competition.
Yep.
And so I'd love to do some kind of a low light stage in there. I'm not sure what Zach has planned, but it's kind of hard to do with where you have 4 stages and I mean, how do you lower the lights?
Yeah.
Zach is super smart, man. He'll figure it out, but
Turns
it'll be
out
fun.
the answer the entire time was eye masks.
This could work. This could work. Saturday, I was the match director for the Steel Challenge that we did. It was weird because the day it started raining. It started raining and just getting crappy weather Friday, and we're like, oh no! And poor LTD, they went and canceled their match because they were getting snowed on.
Yep.
And so I'm like, okay, we'll go do it. I'm the match director, got to show up anyway. And so I took Dakota out with me, and we lucked out. We lucked out really good because it drizzled a little bit for the first, like as we were doing setup, But then it was breezy. It was windy most of the day, but the sun came out and it was not too shabby. But this it was funny. So like I actually screwed up. I like usually we set up outer limits on this one stage, and so I came and I got all the stuff and I drug it out there and I set the whole thing up. Match starts and I get this call over the radio from George. And he's like, "This is supposed to be speed option." Wait, what?
We're
Like,
shooting two outer limits on back-to-back stages, everybody. That's what we're
it's just
doing.
like, well, crap. So he's like, hang on. So unfortunately, no, we hadn't really started shooting yet. And so we run back and we get the pads and we fix everything. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like of all the things in the world, like how embarrassing is that to like set the wrong dang stage up? Now it doesn't matter all that much in the scheme of things. It's just embarrassing to be that. My
Yeah.
brain was just completely
Well, this is as
fried.
the proper match director tactic. This was to point at the person who set up the stage next to you who did it correctly and say, "I told you we were swapping that." And then this is where you need Google Me Right, the ultimate app, which is it looks like Google, but like the colors are slightly shifted off, and then it lets you send emails that look like they got delayed,
Ah,
and then every time you say when you're searching, you put whatever event that you said was correct. It searches and scours the internet and puts at the top the one that proves you right, and so that's why you can always kind of get through any argument. It's just like Google it. Let's Google it. Let's Google. I'll take out my phone right now. Which one comes first, speed option or outer limits? Oh, look which one it says. And then it's just like, with the
well,
power of AI, narcissism will be
yes.
able to run amok, unabated
The-
by public
Some of the
shame.
yeah, but so the funny thing was like we started we got all squared away, right? Totally fine. It's not an issue in the world. But um Dakota hasn't shot Steel Challenge for a while because the club our first Saturdays they've been not available, the IDPA matches, stuff like that. And so he hadn't shot in a while. And like I got up, I shot my stage. It's Dakota's turn to shoot. He gets up there, makes the gun ready. Timer goes off. He brings up the 1022 or the AR 1522, points at the stop plate, shoots the stop plate. Like everybody
Technically,
in the squad,
the fastest way to clear a stage.
I mean, he did, right?
The raw
And so
times, unbelievable.
he shoots the stop plate, and then he shoots all the rest of them, and he comes back to the stop plate, and then like the moment of realization like kicks in, and he's like, oh, and I'm
We
like, well, don't worry about it, buddy. You already hit the stop plate. You're good to go.
Good thing we get to throw one out. This is for the state championship steel challenge. We need to come up with like $2,500, and it will be given away to the raw time leader. Like no penalty points, nothing, and we'll see how many people will shoot. What is it? What is it was it's 5 times 400 no 40 like what 44 draw to first
Yeah.
shots or whatever. We'll see how many people can crank off those shots as fast as they can. And then so basically whoever accumulates like the top of the bottom of the last will
Right.
get the money. And I bet you 30% of the participants will try to become. It'll be like those old Jerry Barnhart, Rob Latham videos where they have like the speed draw challenge, you know, the draw and try to shoot
Well,
the first plate.
don't do that because if you do that, I mean, admittedly, Hit Factor doesn't shoot. The Hit Factor podcast doesn't shoot Steel Challenge. But if they did, they would come on. They would get on and they do a podcast talking about how Steel Challenge has been ruined by people sponsoring money just to shoot the stop plate.
Yeah,
Lots of love,
lots of love it. They're great people.
but it was fun though. But we were on a really good squad. I shot with Cindy and her husband John and their son and Jim Larson. It was a fast day. We got out of there at like noon, and it was great. And I promised Sydney I'd give her a shout out. So Cindy, I'm now talking about you on the show. You can tell your friends. I did something for the team. But no, Cindy's a great person. If you Cindy's actually I just have to say this actually in all seriousness. Cindy Zumwalt is probably one of the better people in our sport as far as the women. She's actually brought so many women into the shooting sport. If you see a lot of the women that actually show up some of these matches, Cindy has probably introduced them. That's pretty darn cool. And so, Cindy, good job.
Yes, indeed.
On that note,
Good.
Gen 6 clocks.
Uh, on that, well, first before we touch other Glocks, I've spent yesterday when I was sitting there being absolutely tired and whatever. I was watching a bunch of old Johnny Glock videos where Johnny Glock is people are bringing their guns, and this one guy has one completely decked out with every Glock store product known to man, like slide backplate, titanium coated striker, all the stuff. Guess what? His gun doesn't work. And so Johnny Glock's going through all the tests and putting stuff in there. And this guy's like, every time this guy handles the gun, he's muzzling everybody in the store because
That's typically the kind of people that would do all that junk to a Glock.
I've recently heard somebody tell me that it's impossible with handguns not to flag somebody. It's like, no, I've seen
They
it happen.
retarded.
I've seen like hundreds of people do it together at one time. Like
Are they from Minnesota? Are they a governor?
It's mostly possible. They're not Tim Walz. But anyways, so I'm just watching this, and then I'm like going through like the process of, oh, dude, like it's something that you learned. It's like, okay, when you first get into it, you have your gun, and you're just like, all right, I need these things, and then you go to the project, like I need a lighter trigger. I need a different recoil spring. Like you can mess around with recoil springs, and some items, like guide rods and stuff like that, they're not gonna mess you up. They're just simple things. Trigger shoe, a different trigger shoe or whatever on most things, not whole trigger kit or sear kit or whatever. And these things that would break the gun apart. And so you kind of get to this point where it's like, I need to race these things out. You've done it, like extended firing pins, lighter trigger return springs, they break all the stuff, and then you're like, oh, I'll try to find some happy medium. And then like you get to like where we're at kind of now, like 15 years, 10 to 15 years into this, and you're just like, dude, just give me some sights. Like, give me some sights, give me an optic, like make sure the holster works, like, and somebody's coming up with some like whiz bang thing, and like, oh, I got these, reduced power of this. It's just like, I don't want, like, now it's just like, what, the trigger's a pound and a half heavier? It goes off every time? It works? Oh, it keeps the gun in lock longer? Cool. Like, give me that. And so
if I could go back to 2017, like I was thinking about this and talking to Andrea, if I go back to 2017 and I could talk to 2017 Robert, I would tell him, just shut up, spend the money on an AccuShadow 2 and be done with it. Because that's fine. It's perfect. You're going to spend a little bit more up front, but the gun is going to be flawless. Learn how to shoot it. And I wouldn't have even gone down the rabbit hole of just changing everything, only to come back to the same place of like, stock gun good.
Yeah. That's the same thing with like when I sit there and I set up like I was going through this Beretta, taking it apart, and it's just like when I started putting this Beretta before I stopped shooting a little bit, like I sat there and I was like, all right, I want the most reliable format. It's like Wolf trigger return spring, can't break. Put that bad boy in there. Factory hammer spring. It's like I used to have like the Wilson Combat Langdon trigger bars or whatever, and it's just like stock trigger bars fine. 16-pound D spring will last forever. Like Beretta factory sights on adjustable sights on the thing, like and just some like lock grips and a W74 guide rod. Like nothing, no parts or springs that are lightened or whatever in the gun. Just what the gun is made to run on. And so I'm sitting there watching this, and then the Hannah on Instagram has a very tricked out. And hold on one second, I got to turn off this air purifier.
No, I mean I get it, right? I mean, like this whole idea of like trying to change the stuff out, and I just like I got that MMP from the Armory, and I'm just like, yeah, this gun's great. I mean, like with the Shadow 2, I'm like, you need to change the grips to whatever is going to work for your hands, because the grips that come with them, we all acknowledge they're decorator stuff. They're not real.
Yeah,
but I mean,
grips, unless they're poorly designed, will not impede the function of the gun.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And so I think, I mean, change the grips to whatever you want, but like the MMP, I actually like the 2.0's grips. The what do you call that? The stippling?
They're stippling. Yeah, they're texturing. They're textured grips.
The texturing on them, I think they're great. And since the one I have still has the hook trigger, which we talked about, I'm a big fan of. And it's like, well, it's got a heavier trigger. I don't care. I don't
Yep.
care. It goes off. It bangs every single time. The gun returns. I put a TLR 1 on it because I'm really thinking of shooting that compact at the CCW match. I think that's probably gonna be a lot of fun because we've got so many heavy hitters that are coming into that match. I'm not gonna win. I know I'm not gonna win. So I'm gonna go and take the gun that I want to shoot. And so maybe it's a shield or maybe it's the compact M&P, but they're both stock. I don't
Yep.
need to do anything to them. They just frickin' work. Grip the gun really hard and put the dot or the sights on the target and pull the trigger straight to the rear.
Yeah. Stuff stock.
Seems to be very effective.
So the Hannah on Instagram has a Gucci'd out Glock. The back in the time where there was a time that people spent 4 times as much on a Glock, like 2015, 2016, the John Wick 2 days, where everyone spent way more money on a Glock, and then we
What's
had
the Salient Arms or whatever?
Salient,
Those
yeah, those guys.
Salient Arms. Salient Arms.
Salient that went away in the heydays of Zev and all that stuff, where they made a bunch of Glocks not work but look cool. Anyway, the Hannah
Hmm.
on Instagram, she had a Timney Trigger fail, and by fail I mean it went off in the holster.
Oh, I saw
Yeah,
that.
so people modding their guns and having disconnectors go off and everything, like guns jostling and firing inside the holster and all that jazz. And so we're running, we're kind of getting back to that with like the trigger tech stuff and with the Timney stuff and all this other stuff, and people doing weird crap and messing with their guns, and it's just stop. So there's the
No, I
what I was thinking about, the definition of like wisdom. Like me and you are not wise because me and you played the put the parts in the gun. These are the parts. We'll put the parts in the gun. And like we could have listened to like everybody that kind of like went before us about keeping the gun, like people without names on the shirts. Because the
right,
people with the
right.
names on the shirts, you guys got to kind of like, they're there to sell something. But the people without the names on the shirts, when I used to think about like listening to like Master Clint or guys like that, it was just like, change the sights. You can have a decent trigger, just you have to have something reliable. And um, so when you had something
Well,
like for like defensive firearms, like Mass's whole thing was like leave it stock. Everyone's just kind of like leave it in the most reliable position that it can be in, and the one that would kind of get you in the less legal trouble. And having a heavier trigger pull that goes off every time. And there's fun times for stuff that's super sweet, but like that went away. Like we didn't listen. We kind of went down that road. And so like we're not wise. We've just learned from our mistakes. And like there's people that could be wise now. Like if you're just getting into this or whatever, you could be wise now and save yourself a ton of money, a ton of heartache, a ton of bad match performances because of stuff, and you could just leave the gun alone.
well, but that's the hard thing about anything, right? I mean, like whether it's being a match director, guns, whatever. The I always say there's basically two ways to get experience in life: your own or somebody else's. Somebody else's is usually going to cost you like more, but it's going to shortcut so much time. The problem is everybody wants to use their own experience because I'm right, I've done it, I know how to do this, I'm smart, and boy, if they knew what I know, then they would have done it. And I know that they've done it this way for 10 years, and I know they're telling me to
But
do
I'm
all these
different.
things, but I'm different, and somehow my different is going to be I'm a special snowflake, and I'm so smart, and I'm going to be great, and I'm going to be this all the difference. And it's like, bro, I'm sorry, there's
Yep.
nothing new under the sun. I mean, every 10 years, the whole thing just gets recycled and reinvented every time. And it takes a lot of those people, they'll go through that evolutionary cycle. I know, because we all did it.
Yep.
But eventually, if you stick around long enough, you come to right where we are, where it's like, look, get the gun in a reliable configuration, make sure that it's gonna run, and then go run the piss out of it and have a great time. And you'll do great. You'll have an awesome time. And
And
eventually you're gonna be like, it's not the gun.
with uh what would I say? The modifications now that people are pushing for, and the kind of stuff that people are looking for to shortcut the practice or the skill gap in their own minds have now crossed the Rubicon into unsafe.
Right.
The level of
Well, but I mean,
unsafe triggers or action type or like 2011s with 1 or 2 pound like triggers, not just in like open division where we used to have these guys run around doing that stuff, but like literally in like guns that would be considered production ish almost in a way. And then like modding the guns in such a way that, all of a sudden lots of these different things become unsafe.
Well, my favorite production shooter of all time is Tyler Turner, and this was years ago. But he put out a video basically saying, "This is what I do to a Glock," and you know what? It wasn't that much.
Yeah.
It's just it's like there's not that much there. You don't have to do much to these guns, and he's a top 10 tier best in the world kind of shooter. And so it's like if he's saying don't do this, and now we have Brantley Merriam who's saying the same thing. I don't really do a lot to these guns.
Grip plug, grip tape,
Maybe,
sights.
yeah,
And maybe
maybe just leave them alone, right?
you can, and like when we're talking about like aftermarket triggers, we're talking about not crazy type of trigger setups. And so like it's even funny because even Glock came out with a performance trigger and the first set of them didn't even work.
Right.
Yeah, so it's
Right.
just like the designs. So talking about things that cycle through every 10 years. It's been 8, but we got a new Glock Gen 6, and so this comes on the heels of everyone either being okay with understanding the Glock Gen V or absolutely hating the Glock Gen V because it's total set of sellouts and what have they done. And then some people called them sellouts and then bought a Gen V anyway. And what did we get yesterday? Ba-da-da. Guess what, everybody? The Gen 6 coming out in a month.
I don't even understand why they did the 5 or the V, I guess. I don't understand. I mean,
I would
I'm lost.
I would tell you why they did the V. They
Why?
discontinue all the other 5s. The main differences we know are because of the Switch, right? But
Sure.
if they discontinue the 5s and they still have stuff out there, they can still produce a gun that is probably 90% parts compatible with holsters and everything else that's already out there and MOS compatible. And so they can still take those guns and push out the Gen 5s because they're going to need one, their hand was probably pushed by lawsuits, but they need a stopgap. They need something in between for those customers that are before and those customers that are coming after. And it's like, okay, so like we have this Gen 6, and like Robert, like you need a Glock 26 or whatever caliber you're shooting or whatever like that. And it's just like
Right.
we can produce more of these Gen Vs in these different calibers on the same machining than we can produce Gen 6s. So like you'll see Gen Vs, that line will probably expand a little bit more to stop because they'll just take that Gen 5 stuff that they've already made, put them into Gen Vs and start pushing them out to continue sales because just like Glock happens, it's like when did we get a 45 caliber Gen 5 or a 40 caliber Gen 5? Way down the line. Like they were still selling the Gen 4s and the Gen 3s of that stuff farther on before they got to the Gen 6. And so
Right.
I think they, besides a little part on the frame and the slide and the firing pin, the Gen V is pretty much identical to the Gen 5. And now what we know about the Gen 6, we know that those parts, barrels, recoil springs assemblies, slides, are not going to be the same. So they still need, they couldn't make the Gen 5 anymore. They needed the stopgap measuring between the Gen 5 and the Gen 6 to keep their sales and their volume going. And then they have the Gen 6, and like that stuff doesn't actually mix. It's
Interesting.
yeah, it's if they were more parts compatible, then you would probably see less of the gap. But we can see now what they wanted to do with the Gen 6 is far beyond what they could sit there and continue sales on with the Gen 5 if they had to stop producing the Gen 5 entirely. So you get Gen
Right.
Vs.
It's just weird. I mean, I let them do what they want, right? I don't care. I like Glocks. I think Glocks are fantastic firearms. I have Gen 4s. I have Gen 5s.
Yeah.
I have, compatible Gen 3 type things. I think the Gen 3 as a left-handed shooter is the worst of all the generations, the modern generations, because I'm left-handed. That's it.
Yeah, as far as grip like the Gen 3, like that's my favorite. Every time I grab that gun, I'm just like I freaking adore this thing. But let's Gen 6. So what are you getting with Gen 6? The kind of the stuff that we thought might happen. You're getting a MOS model that's no longer a MOS, which the one thing with the Gen 6, it kind of reminds me, it's like, oh, they just did like the Salient or Shadow Systems thing with it. Like the Gen 6 has more in common with the Springfield Echelon than it does with the Gen 5 Glock.
I don't know who should be more offended.
That
I
I like every time I see a Springfield Echelon for like $400, I'm like, $400, like 5 magazines, it's optics ready. It's just like, it's got decent
yeah,
reviews. You know, I'm just like,
but
like
there's
it.
a reason. There's a reason it's that cheap.
Well, yeah, and honestly, every striker fire gun besides the VP9 and the Glock is hitting that price. Like the
Yeah,
Echelon is a Mercedes Benz compared to the prices that the CZP10's being sold at. Think
true.
about that. CZ
Yeah.
sells a gun that's high quality for cheaper than the Springfield Echelon.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like just from the top down, so possibly metal sights, like all the demo ones they showed kind of had like some suppressor height sights, like it's gonna bankrupt the company, or like the gun's gonna go up in price. Like there's no doubt about it. They have a universal optics mounting system where they're using plastic, essentially plastic crush washers, very very thin pieces of polymer that your screws go into. You could probably just screw into the slide, but like those pieces of polymer will kind of seal the deal, tighten it up.
Okay.
Barrel, different cut barrel, not the rifling, but the recoil spring. The recoil spring, they went back to the Gen 3 um,
They went to a single piece.
single piece of the Gen 3 recoil springs. The Glock 19
Why?
style. Well, here's
The dual recoil was a very accurate setup. I mean, I actually really love that with the fives.
dual recoil springs were made by people like Smith and Wesson did them with the Performance Series 5906s, like the ones they made for like Mexican special forces.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that term. But anyway, so they made him that, and the whole double recoil spring would keep the gun in lock for a lot longer of a time. And then when Glock started moving him these double recoil springs, they put him in like the Glock 30s, and like the subcompact 45 Glock was like the most accurate Glock. Like it was a match kind of grade quality back in the Gen 3 days. And they went to these bigger recoil springs, these dual recoil springs, because like HK pioneered them back in the day with like the Mark 23. Like they soften recoil, they keep the guns in lock a lot better. Like they're a superior system. And I was
Right.
watching videos, and they're like, "Well, we're not producing them in 40 cal anymore, so we don't need to use these type of recoil springs to prevent the gun from being battered up." Basically, it's cheaper. It's just cheaper. It's just there's no getting
I
around it.
that's
It's they're gonna
that's stupid because it created one of the more accurate Glocks in the Gen 5s that they. I mean, that gun was insanely accurate. And maybe it'll continue, right? Maybe the new version will continue and the world will be great, but I happen to like the dual recoil spring. I always felt that it brought the gun right back where it needed to. It was a quick return. I loved it a lot. For large calibers, I really liked it. For a 10 millimeter and 45, that's
yeah.
fantastic. It's great.
Yeah, the one thing that I think about that Gen 6 kind of gun is that they're trying to do more and meet a price point.
Yeah.
Because I did not see them introduce an iron sight model, which means like nobody else in the industry is doing that anymore. They're not doing the iron sight. Almost nobody else is doing the iron sight slash non-iron sight. They're almost all optic ready. The
Hmm.
only companies that do that are the ones that have a model higher and lower who are like catering to the pores. Um, but so they're trying to find the price point if they're going to put iron sights on it and mill the heck out of it, and that they're trying to find that price point. And I'm guessing that recoil spring, they're like, it's going to be cheaper for us, way cheaper for us to manufacture. We'll be able to fill orders more rapidly with that thing, and so I don't see the need why they would need to make the changes. It's not like we can't. It's not like the new Gen 6 Glock 19 is going to be different in dimensions than the Gen 4 or Gen 5 Glock 19, or that those recoil
Right.
springs couldn't be interswapped. Like we saw that with the 47 1945 Glock 45 stuff. So It's a little weird, but like it's for cost. Beaver tail for everybody. No interchangeable FCU, like people they had a patent, but no interchangeable FCU. Beaver tail for everybody, so everyone's gonna either hate it or like it. Like beaver tails that kind of jet straight out aren't that bad. They don't interfere on the draw unless they're from appendix, which the appendix people are going to be mad because it just jams up your thumb. Um,
Hmm.
so that's their better grip texture, a more rounded grip. So
That was the thing I noticed more than anything was it looked like they actually started rounding that gun out.
they round the gun out, and this is now listen to what the fine engineers at Glock did. They mapped the hands of all their employees in Austria and America. And they found with their average hand size, they decided to add palm swells. Imagine that, palm swells on a handgun.
Wow. Hmm.
Having the palm just a little bit.
Shocker. Yeah. I mean, they could have thought about this. I mean, functionally, at the end of the day, Gaston had to die so that Catherine could come in and like, no, 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 hang on, no more horse semen. We're redoing the Glock.
we're giving people textures like, I just
It's
hear
it's ribbed for their pleasure.
I just hear this stuff and I'm just like, oh, you like palm swells? Like didn't like a 1911 have that like 120 years ago? Like we've come up with palm swells and we've rounded the grip. Like the magwell looks gigantic. Like it looks like the grip looks like, you know what the grip looks like? The Springfield Echelon. And like it's got like the flat face trigger now, and it's got like gas pedals, and like you know what gun comes with? You can buy an aggressive changeable FCU for it, the Springfield Echelon. And you know what comes with iron tritium night sights that co-witness with an optic? The Springfield Echelon. I I am happy. It looks like a sweet pistol. I'm sure that it's going to be absolutely amazing, and it's going to be probably like the street price on Glocks, like on certain models, it goes from like, if you like gun dot deals them, it goes from like, yeah, a good deal that they're trying to get rid of is like 450. Like you could buy like a Glock 49 MOS. I was looking at one for a long time for like 450. You could buy for 450, sorry, to like, and then like a new updated model would be like 560 for like an MOS 47. Now that everyone wants a 47, it could be like six. These guns are going to be
Hmm.
like 620. I think these guns on the cheap days are going to be like $580. I don't think. I think Glock has now set themselves there, and then that's the standard, and that's what they're going to charge out there for the Gen 6, especially when every single one of them is going to be optics
I
ready. And
I don't know, Tommy. I like Glock. I really do. I like Glocks. I have nothing bad to say about them, but for the money, there's so many good guns out there. I mean, I particularly like the Smith and Wesson. I think Smith and Wesson makes a fine firearm. I think Canics are making really good stuff. I mean, hell, I mean, even the Echelon is not a bad gun. It has no support for it, right?
it has no
Like
support.
it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But it's a fine firearm. I love the P10 guns. I There are so many just fantastic firearms at a price point. You notice that I didn't say SIG because fuck those guys.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many great firearms out there that at good price points that I Glock is functionally they're running on their history. I mean, because it's not like they're doing anything innovative.
They're running on their reputation, and their reputation is fantastic. Like there's
Yeah.
one thing that I will say about the Glock, not just from like reliability, like the accuracy standpoint is great now. From the reliability standpoint, is that I can teach somebody to hold a Glock better than anything because I know the dimensions of the Glock will support properly the support hand of the shooter. And it's just like
Sure.
there is a big kind of thing in like the late 2000s, early 2010s that kind of has stopped and ended, which people would go into the gun store and they would grab a gun, and how thin the grip was and how much hand they could wrap around the gun meant that this gun fit my hand. And it's just like,
Yep.
bitch, it's supposed to fit your hands. Sonny Pazika said
Yeah.
it's a handgun, not a hands gun. And the grip is not, yeah. But my philosophy is like the grip's not meant to fit your hand. It's meant to fit your hands. And so like I know
Well, but
like
that's the funny thing though, is like, I mean, you say that, but like I remember people coming into the store and they, I mean, it was that it fit well in their hand, or they went with a 1911 because it just fires so it shoots so good.
yeah.
Well, yeah, it's got like a much easier trigger than all the other guns out there, which is like two of the most universally terrible characteristics on how to decide if a gun is good or not.
Yeah. And so like the Glock does a bunch of that stuff in the aftermarket support is great and all that stuff. But like I'm sitting there looking at that gun and with all the stuff it did, and it's just like, yeah, like there's been guns that have been doing that for a few years prior and for a cheaper price point. Like everything that it's kind of doing, the Walther PDP has been doing for 5 years.
Yeah. The worst part about the Walther is just the price point. It's just an expensive gun.
Well, the metal one's expensive. The polymer ones are dirt cheap. Like the polymer ones are
Are they?
400 bucks. You
Oh,
can
I take it back.
you consistently find them for 400, and they're reliable and they work and they use Mechgar magazines and they have all this wonderful stuff that can go with them. Like there's uh Glock, which used to be the cheap handgun, what people would say the polymer handgun that was cheap to get into, cheaper than the Beretta or the Sig or any of that stuff, is now gonna probably command a higher price than like the HK striker fired guns. Like Glock is gonna put that out there, and they know they're gonna have to charge good money for them, and like they've made some probably some. I would say other people have used their plate systems that directly mill into the plate, and to avoid some problems on the user ends for warranties, they have the plastic spacers. Gosh, what is that company that has two names that's been doing plastic spacers since they did their whole optics ready line? Oh, that's right, Smith and Wesson. They have
Hmm.
their plastic they have their plastic
Oh
plates, and
yeah, dude.
they have their
That's
plastic
what. Yeah,
spacers.
that has that on there.
Yeah, and this is
I thought I was wondering about that, like, cause like I put the Vortex on there, and it has this plastic. I'm like, is this just a cheap placeholder? And I'm like, well, it works. So let's run it and see. I didn't know if I needed to go find like a metal plate or something
yeah,
like
like
that to
there's
actually
people who
make it
make
work
them.
better.
There's people who make the
Yeah.
metal plates. Like Athena makes fantastic plates for the thing. But like, yeah, they're doing it. But the other part is like the funny thing is about like the optics plate system. So like the plastic thing's going to be cheaper for them and all that jazz. Like MOS worked for a decade, but it's not. None of us go like the MOS cut like that's the cream of the crop. Like none of it, like everyone
Mm-hmm.
understands like that's the cheapest thing they could possibly done, and they did it for years, and it started to work out near the end. Um, but they're doing this cut, and the funny thing is about like those polymer pieces, it's way more expensive on the starting end to injection mold those polymer pieces in than go to a machine shop that's already been having the CNC machines for years, where they can just CAD the plate and then make the
Right.
plate. Because you like, well, how much is it to make this mold for this injection molding thing? They're like $30,000. It's like, okay, well, that's the RMR. Like, what's the
Yeah.
so they've brought the price point up and then skimped on some other spots in the gun to kind of make it better. But the Smith & Wesson M&P, the Springfield Echelon, like all these guns, the Walther PDP, these guns are doing Gen 6 stuff before the Gen 6. And so if you're really mad about the whole Gen V thing, Gen 6, it's like, well, we still don't want to hear your bitching, because there's literally this isn't 1986, this isn't 1999, this isn't 2012. There's a plethora of decent options for you to grab onto and not complain. And they're
All
not
I
parts
know is that
compatible with your Glock either way. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, Glock Perfection has now reached Gen 6. So, I mean, who knew Perfection just got that much better over 6 generations?
Yeah, I mean, it keeps it. The funny thing about Perfection from Glock, it keeps reaching par with the market.
That's kind of like Apple. Apple every time they announce a new phone, Samsung and Google or Android's like, bitch, we've been doing that for the past 3 years.
What the hell are you talking about?
USB-C, the
It's a walled garden. It's an old folks' home.
it is 100%. It absolutely is. And you
As,
know what?
as I say from
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. I mean, well, that's a dumb thing. Like anymore, like I was talking to, I don't remember who I was talking to. There, and it's like, oh yeah, I've got all these apps and stuff. I'm like, yeah, like half the apps that I have are all like they've deleted themselves to save space or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't use any. I use like the little camera thing. I used all the phone, text, pictures. Man,
Yeah.
I might as well go back and get one of those Nokia phones. I'm so freaking old. That's what I've turned into.
Yeah, I constantly get the Hornady reminder emails like, "Hey, would you like to update your app? We got brand new loads for you. You haven't done this in 5 years. We got brand new loads. Nah, you still got the same 9mm loads I'm looking for. We're good.
Right, right.
Keep trucking.
Like why change?
We've changed the overall case length on 3 loads from previous editions.
Do
Find
you know
out
what's so
now,
funny is
or you're gonna blow up your
yeah,
gun.
find out now and because you upgraded, we're now going to put everything behind a paywall and charge you for it because
I
subscription pricing for the win.
from the old days of actually buying, because like before modern times, when you went into like Sportsman's Warehouse, you would actually have to buy the Hornady reloading guide or the Lee reloading guide because no one would publish their like it's too unsafe to publish this
Hmm.
kind of data on the internet. We don't want to be responsible for that. Then you go into the store and it's like literally on the box, or you go on to like ordering thing and you click on the box and you like zoom in and you're like, oh, there's some 9mm load data right there. Um,
Yeah.
but anyways, but the modern like a $20 PDF with like 500 loads on it, it's like have the $20. Like I can zoom in and I can search it and I can be like, okay. Like the Hornady app is actually legitimately like a good product for
It's
loading.
no, it's a great app. It legitimately is. I that's fine. I just I have seen I've got enough of it because I have all those books, and I've seen those books. I've seen the same loads, get more risk averse as the generations go on.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what changed? Well, the lawyers got more lawyery.
Well, here's what changed is that every idiot that blows up their gun looked at the high end and they go, it can go hotter. And then they did it. And so all they did nowadays is they go, we'll just drop the high end off. And so these retards, when they add half a grain, yeah, so when they add half a grain, it's going to be
Well,
slightly
to
better.
to be fair to them, when I was trying to develop a load for a 45 and my eyes went across and then suddenly dropped down a line, that was on me.
Yeah,
And so that Bubba's pissing hot 45, yeah, that hurt.
yeah. My gun can handle it. And then you take apart the gun. It's like, no, your gun has chatter marks all over the locking block. Like, it's not meant for this. It's not meant for this.
Like,
What
why
it
are
is,
you hurting me, Daddy?
what your gun is meant for is to hang on the side of a Dominate Defense belt. Head on over to Dominate Defense American Operated Gear. Use promo code PARA10. Save 10% off your order on your Mach 1 speed belt, your concealment belt, or a duty belt for just having a good time. The duty belt and the competition belt. Competition belt's really good. Really good. Duty belt one, also very good. Buy one
Gray
or the
belt's
other.
very good.
You'll be fantastic. Everything's going to be great. Mach 1 speed belt's the best belt ever. Use promo code
Legit.
PRA10, save 10% off your order, and do all that stuff. They're great. Also, check out W74 guide rods. Add a little weight to the front of your gun, like on this Beretta 92 Brigadier. You guys can do that. Also, springs, all that jazz there. Many different models of guns. Also, if you want to bring weight in different areas, you can. Tungsten batteries, all that jazz. Use promo code PRA10. Save 10% off your order. And Rune Tactical. Plus one, they make base pads and spring kits to get more bullets in your magazine. So I say you can have 3 or 4 magazines of them, but at least own one and that you have in your range bag so that you
But
know
with that discount, you can have multiples.
you can have 2,
See?
3.
Yeah, two.
Technically, the more you buy, the more you save. So you guys can do all
That
that
is
stuff.
that is some girl math right
That
there.
that's the the Porsche Turbo was only $40,000 more than what other car I was going to buy, so it's fine. Use promo code PRA10, save 10% off your order. Also, Telegram is a messaging app. You can go on there. You can search Paracast Chat. Paracast, you'll find us and join us, and then we'll block you if you're like a realtor or something trying to sell us something. So we'll do that. Or crypto. Well, it depends on the offer on the crypto. Robert?
From Ron, have you ever bought a gun and regretted it? Why? Tommy is the guy to talk to.
Like there's when I was a younger man, I was not immune to companies' hype about their own firearm products. The
What was
Bursa
that? What was that old?
BP9,
Do you remember? Like it was the very early days of gun dudes, and there was like some dude selling like a Tiger Light or some
the
crazy thing
Tiger,
like
the
that.
Tiger Light, like the Tiger Light had what I know now about pepper spray and OC, and then having like the Tiger Light was not that bad of an idea. And I don't think I ever bought. I don't think I ever bought one. I think I was given one. Um, it was not that bad of an idea for what you're doing, but like sometimes in those gun dude stays, like I found out what we were doing, and then I showed up, and then tried to be the best host I possibly can, and now I don't go anywhere, and it's much better. It's much better. But like I remember being caught up. Taurus back in the day had like their 24/7 pistol. So this was a semi-automatic striker fired handgun, which then became essentially their G4, their G3 G4 smaller like compact size semi-automatic pistol. This was the full size broader than that, and they had like a whole line. And there was this one pistol called like the 24/7 OSS, and this was like their SOCOM pistol development back when everyone was making like a 45 Smith and Wesson M&P, a 45 PX4, all that stuff, and so they made it in 9mm too. So I bought one of those, and like it worked, but like looking back, it's like this was not actually that great of a handgun. But I never learned my lesson. It's like, oh wow, they make a 1911, and they have all these custom features, and then like this was a piece of junk, and then Bursa, the BP9cc, which was a gun that fit great in the hand and never ran properly. Um, so that one literally I just left, when I got divorced. I didn't even, it's not in the decree, it's not anywhere. I just literally just left it. Uh, it's someplace. And so, yeah, like I've bought, and every gun that I've really bought and regretted was made south of the border. That whole region
Okay.
down there. Nothing that I've bought across the Atlantic am I really disappointed about. Even guns like the A-Rex, what was that thing, like their SIG 229 clone? Like it had an atrocious double action pull. Um, but it was super accurate, and the thing ran. The thing ran like a top. So I'm not upset about that. Like that was a decent pistol that I bought. Even like the Masada, like great pistol. I just sold it, wasn't for me. But everything south of the border I've regretted.
I bought a long time ago. I bought it was a Springfield XDS, and
The
I remember
45 or
when
the 9.
the 9mm,
Okay.
the 9mm, and I remember when it first came out, really liked the gun, like a lot liked the gun, but Springfield went through and did a recall on it, and I don't remember exactly why they recalled it, but they recalled it, and so I sent it in, and it came back with it was heavier than 12-pound trigger. It was really bad. And I know it was heavier than 12 because that was what my scale maxed out at. And so I sent it back to Springfield, and then they sent it back, and it was 8 pounds. And I call them up, and I was like, what the heck? And they're like, well, you could send it back again, but it's within our spec, and so we're probably just going to send it back to you. And at that point, I was just like, F these guys, like, never again. I'll never buy another Springfield product. And that was short lived because Springfield does make nice 1911s. I like their 1911s. And so I've subsequently I've bought a 1911 from them. But that was the worst gun. That was the worst gun by far that I ever bought. I had it was a God, who made the shotgun, the Jerry Mitchell shotgun. I can't
Mossberg,
remember.
the 930.
Mossberg.
Yep.
Yeah, I had one of
Yep.
those
I had one of those
that
too.
was I don't know why I
Not
bought it.
not
I'm not
as
I'm not
not as advertised. I'll tell you why you bought it, because it had a decent endorsement. It was a semi-automatic shotgun by a company that makes decent shotguns,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah, I mean
decent
really. But
semi-automatic shotguns.
Yeah, it wasn't very good at all. And I found that I just stopped enjoying. I mean, I didn't like shooting shotguns a lot to begin with, but that just made it worse because I had a Remington. I still have it. It's a Remington 870, and I have one of the good ones, like before Remington kind of went to crap.
Yeah.
And I actually like that gun a lot. I can't remember. I actually bought somebody. It was somebody who listened to the show, and I cannot remember who it is now. Sold me. It was like a 20-inch barrel for it, so it's a little bit shorter than the longer one I had. But yeah, just I don't know. Like most of the guns, I actually, funny enough, I have two high points that are not great guns, but I bought them for just for a lark
They're not
to
dis-
try them at a match.
they're
They're
not
terrible
disappoint
guns.
they're not disappointing because you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah, yeah, and I will never, honestly, I'll never get rid of them because every time I open up the safe and I see those things, I just giggle a little bit, remembering the match that I tried to shoot them at and how
Yeah.
terrible of a thing was. They were fun, and I love it for that. So it is what it is.
They're the high points when you buy them as kind of like a lull. It's like going to dinner with somebody you like. It doesn't matter where you go to dinner, you're just there for the company.
Yes,
You know,
100%.
and it's just like
100%.
she's like, dude, this go to a steakhouse. It's like this guy's an asshole. Like I hate hanging out with this guy.
From Chris Loki, it's been a while since I've been able to get Telegram to work right, but I still listen to every episode. Can we get an update on how all the old crew are doing? Kenny, Steve, are they happy and doing well?
Well, are they? When's the last time Kenny's answered anything on the chat? Every once in a while, every once in a while, on the Blue Moon, Kenny will pop into our little group chat.
Yeah,
We'll see. We're gonna come up with on episode 500 here. We'll see.
yeah, I'd like to get him on for that. That'd be fun. I mean, I saw Steve when he got back from his Africa safari. Um, but he's doing well. He's doing the semi-retired life. I don't you don't see him shoot tons, but
He
yeah.
sent me a picture of him and Robin volunteering at the Red Cross for Thanksgiving in the Bloodmobile.
Aw.
Yeah, in the Bloodmobile. So that was pretty nice.
Wait, was he taking people's blood? Because I mean,
I don't know what the whole. I don't know if it's really affiliated with the Red Cross, but it's one of those. It's one of those. Whatever it is, it's a good fake. It's either the real thing or a good fake.
but let's see. From Lance, do you think that Slips will ever unban the 5.56? The hard
So
thing,
this is rifle shooting at our local club, which was banned because of some errant rounds and general, what would you say, worry about liability about having the range taken away.
the I think here's my issue. Um, and I can answer. I'll answer the question later. My biggest issue with the whole thing is, um, the board is risk averse, and they have a strong misunderstanding of misleading vividness. And so they say, "Oh, like they'll see a plane crash, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's it. We're never going to fly in a plane again. So we'll drive across the country." That's misleading vividness, right? You're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like it's that kind of thing." And so they're like, "Oh, a 5.56 leaves the range. We can't have that." Okay, well, but you have 9 millimeters leaving the range, um, on a not infrequent basis, and nobody bats an eye. The reason nobody bats an eye is because all the people that are sitting on the board aren't rifle shooters. They don't care. I mean, they don't look at it from that perspective. And I have to be really careful because they're all good people and I like them a lot. I genuinely do. But if you had somebody on that board, if this was a 3-gun board, the 5.56 would still be there, guaranteed. But because they're not, primarily all they are is pistol guys. They look at everything from the perspective of, well, we don't really shoot it that much. And truthfully, we don't have a lot of 5.56. We don't have a lot of like rifle matches. And they're like, we don't shoot it that much. And so it's not worth the risk for this small subset of population, to continue to allow it. My issue with all of that is it doesn't make any sense. They let the cowboys, one of the cowboys shot himself. Nobody told the state. I mean, we have 9 millimeter that goes over. When you look at it in the totality of everything, Slipsa should unban the 5.56. It just there's no
Well,
logical
there's
reason on its face. There's no logical reason for it.
when people are worried about have rifle competitions or worried about ammunition leaving the range, or like even like some pistol competitions that they've had, internationally, it's like
Hmm.
they simply have no muzzles above the back berm.
Yeah.
If you bring your muzzle up and the it's almost like the old, like it's like the 180 line. It's just like, did he hit 181? Did he hit 182? Well, it's too close to call. Let it move on. But they literally will have something like that. So when I hear like there's a ban before there's a temporary solution that would stop what they were worried about. Like that's the most reasonable thing to stop what they were worried about. Like, we enforce
Right.
fingers in triggers and we enforce muzzles over the berm.
I think the biggest challenge you have is the slips aboard. And truthfully, almost everybody in the entire world, USPSA certainly is this from a board of directors level, that everything is so reactionary. Everybody is just so quick to like, this happened, oh, we must do something now. And 90% of the time, the reaction is worse than the incident because nobody ever considers the long-term effect of that decision. And that's always a challenge, no matter what. That's just always going to be a challenge.
Yep.
So, my answer to you, Lance, very simply, if you want 5.56 to come back, what I would encourage you to do is on the 20th, the second slips a match, they're going to have elections for all the new board members. Um, if you, if this is something that's important to you, I would encourage you to create a coalition of people to vote out the existing board members and change it. And I say that tiny bit tongue in cheek, but at the same time, if you want to see the change, you're going to have to make that change happen. And that's because, I mean, PCSL Nationals, it just finished up today. And I'm not going to lie, I love USPSA, truly do. I think it's probably the premier sport in the world. But there is no doubt in the world at all that PCSL is doing multi-gun better than anybody else. Full stop. Like
Yep.
straight up. It's the best. Max Leograndis is a freaking genius. Marcel's down there doing stats and stuff for him. Like everything that they're doing is right. And that's just how it should be. USPSA at this point should just take their multi-gun and just throw it out the window because it's garbage compared to what PCSL. And I know there's good points to it too. I know that I'm being a little bit
It,
silly,
it, it's
but
it's
PCSL is just the best.
uh the
Oh,
the
oh, say it like this. Here's how I say it. Okay. Compared to PCSL, USPSA is the IDPA of the multi-gun world.
yeah, they're selling burgers at Del Taco.
Yeah,
It's like, we're not here for the
yeah,
burgers. We're here for the tacos and the burritos.
absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
let those guys handle it. Bring it on.
Let's see here. Uh, we already talked about the Glock a little bit. But from Sebastian, I found Tight Group at a local gun store for $57 a pound. Is this normal? What kind of prices are you guys seeing? Robert's
$57 a pound.
liquidation prices don't count. That's a lot of money
50. So that
for
stuff used
Tight
to be
Group.
$17 a pound.
I know. I know that makes us sound old, but it wasn't that long ago when it was $7 a pound. It was like 5 years ago. It wasn't that long.
Yeah. Yeah, that stuff should not be that way. And I haven't sat there and bought components besides bullets because I was pretty well stocked on the Tight Group. I'd bought in a couple 8-pound kegs. So I was good
Yeah,
for a while, but
that
that's
hurts.
that hurts. That's expensive. California is not good for you.
Yeah, Seabass. I mean, I've seen Tight Group in the high 40s. $57. Holy jeez, that's N320 pricing.
Yep.
Jiminy Crispies. Yeah, I don't. Well, I know where I get I know where I get gunpowder from, and I know where I get good prices on gunpowder. And because I know where I get good prices on gunpowder, and I don't want that good prices on gunpowder to like go to anybody else, I'm not going to tell you where I get the gunpowder from. So just know that I'm getting it at a much, much better price than you are.
These are Shadow 2 shooters. This is how they'll do you. This is how you
Uh-huh,
paint
uh-huh.
on the inside.
And so let's see. I guess last question from Dave Blanton. We'll actually ask: did Glock release the Gen 6 as planned, or did the Ruger RXM force their hand and accelerate the plan?
I'm not sure Glock cares really anything about what. If that would be the case, they would have let the Shadow systems. They would have had let what Zev did with their kind of knockoff type of guns. People have been making knockoff Glocks for 4 years or so,
The
or
RXM is
6 years.
a Gen 3 though.
It's a Gen
And
3
so
gun.
why would I care about? I mean, if that system went into flux, that'd be pretty legit. But if you're going to go and build a
See,
modular fire control unit, make it a Gen 4
it
because
well,
that
it's
works.
if they're going to have a modular fire control unit, like obviously that didn't have anything to do because the Gen 6 doesn't have a fire control unit. So that didn't push them. I think the interesting thing about the RXM is the fire control unit. Besides that, the only other thing that's interesting is price. It's for people who
Yeah,
can't afford Glocks, and I don't think that pushed him anywhere. And I think um, I don't I'm I think the only thing that was forced is having a bridge between Gen 5 to Gen 6 and avoiding the legal trouble. I think that's the only thing that could be considered as pushing their hand. I never think they wanted to make the Gen V, but I still think they needed to have a platform that was completely Gen 5 compatible and Gen 5 machining compatible for the stuff that they already had to bridge the sales gap that would be left till the full line of Gen 6s come online. Because there's one thing I know that's going to be the most popular handgun that's purchased in the next, you know, 9 months is going to be the Gen 6 Glock. And they are not going to be able
for
to
sure.
keep up with that. And they're still going to have to service all the other customers.
Hmm. All right, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing, doing all that, reminding you to download, delete, download, delete, download, delete, download, listen. And for Robert Wyatt, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the sea of life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, that's a show.
Huzzah. And